Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by T.A. Forsberg and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So when people think of Michigan's economy, they immediately jump to automotive. And honestly, they're not incorrect, but the state clearly has many industries driving it, like engineering, life sciences, medical devices, furniture, agriculture, and tourism. And insurance. So here to discuss the impact on the insurance industry in Michigan is the executive director of LIAM, the Life Insurance Association of Michigan, Ms. Traci Riehl. Welcome to the show, Traci.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So LIAM, what is the mission of LIAM and who do you serve?
Yeah, so LIAM is, as you said, the Life Insurance Association of Michigan. We are an advocacy group supporting companies that are domiciled and do business in Michigan. So specifically for life insurance and annuities. And so we're involved politically. A lot of laws are around to protect consumers and companies. When you have a life insurance policy, you want to make sure that you're with a company that can pay that policy when it's needed.
Right on. Okay. And in your efforts to advocate, who do you partner and kind of collaborate with? I mean, you're Life Insurance Association, but clearly there's a lot of other types of insurance companies. How do you, as an industry, work together?
Sure. So we partner with a lot of, as on a statewide basis, with all of the insurance, different insurance areas. So there's property and casualty, there's health, there's the health plans, and we're really involved to make sure that as an industry that we raise the profile, that we are a big deal in Michigan. So
right.
We're trying to break into the top 10. Right now we're about 11th as far as contributing to the state's GDP. And that's an important part of what we do. So we do come together as a group. We try to do it every 3 years as COVID disturbed that, but we are in the process of doing another economic study. So we'll come together as an industry and present all across all industries what we do from a standpoint of insurance companies pay a lot of taxes. We also provide a lot of jobs, and they're good paying high-tech jobs. As a matter of fact, during COVID, we were a pretty stable industry. So we were able to maintain a lot of our employees. We had to work differently, just like everybody else. But it's a great industry to be part of.
Right on. So, it's funny. Yeah, I'm glad we're having this conversation because I lived here for a while before I really looked up and realized how many powerful insurance brands are represented here. And you talk about domiciling, maybe we can even explain what that exactly means. And certainly, insurance companies do business. State Farm isn't a Michigan company, but clearly people in Michigan can have a State Farm policy, just as an example.
Yeah.
But what brands are represented here in Michigan?
So the big ones locally are going to be Jackson National Life, which is out on the east side of town, but also Farm Bureau, Auto Owners, even John Hancock is domiciled in the state of Michigan, although their primary office is in Massachusetts. So companies choose to domicile, meaning this is their home state, and they follow the rules and regulations here. So the insurance industry, to some people's surprise, is state regulated. And that was done by the McCarran-Ferguson Act. It determined that this was of public interest, that both taxation and regulation should be done by the states. And so that, because of that, we have the Department of Insurance and Financial Services, DIFS, and we work with our Director Fox, Director Anita Fox, and she not only is responsible for the solvency of the companies, which is important, and the consumer protections, but also in growing the insurance industry, because we are a big contributor to the economics of Michigan, and that's really critical.
Right. And you talk about this study that you did and trying to extrapolate. You mentioned number 11, and we can talk about that here in a second too. But why is it important to kind of gather that information? And because, again, you've got all these different companies, Frankenmuth, and you got Blue Cross Blue Shield in Michigan. You got Delta Dental, which is national, but they have a location here in Michigan too. And so why is it important to collectively document those numbers?
Well, I think it's something that people don't really think of as a, boy, I'd like to go into the insurance industry, but we are a really strong employer. There's a lot of tech jobs, and you don't necessarily have to have a degree in insurance, although there's some amazing insurance degrees that are provided by MSU and Olivet and actuarial science, but insurance companies are just like any other company and are largely tech. There's a huge tech component. As a matter of fact, the reason you see some of our companies building some really edgy buildings is to compete with the Silicon Valleys of the world, because we've got we're big tech companies. We also have marketing jobs, and we have if you're into law, there's a ton of law. You need a law degree for a multitude of general counsel type responsibilities in insurance companies. So there's just customer service. There's just so many jobs available. And again, they're good paying and really critical to our industry and to our state.
Right. True. So I think if a lot of people, even out of state or folks that are in state, young people who are coming up through the education system might say, well, if I stay in Michigan, I got to be in manufacturing. Mm-hmm. So I think it is important to kind of fan the flames of the variety. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with manufacturing,
right? But
variety is a spice of life, right? Yes. And not everyone's built to do one task, right? So it's important to make sure that everyone understands that there's a wide variety of careers here in Michigan.
And I think beyond just the producers, so the companies, names that the fabric of insurance that you see at a local level is going to be your financial advisor, who sells the products that we create, or the agents. So there's the agents are probably what are most visible to most people.
Right. Yep.
Those are the names you see on the ballparks. Those are, when you look out at the fence. Just not just like Jackson Field here in Lansing, but also looking at the Little League places. You go to the school and you're going to see those agency names out there because they're big supporters of their community. And I think that's another really important component is that our industry gives back, and we're in charitable giving in our, I'd have to try and look, but I think we gave around $60 million in contributions. So really a big charitable contributor as well. So, a lot of people just think of their auto insurance, because we all talk about that. But insurance weaves in and out of all aspects of our lives. The other thing about life insurance is it is actually a financial product. So, it's not something that you have to have, it's something you choose to have. And so another thing that the industry is focused on is financial literacy and starting to really indicate why people in all walks of life should consider what financial literacy looks like for them and what they should have as far as saving money and providing a future. Right on.
Okay. And so the reason you're doing this study, which I'm excited to get, because I think the more people we can put that in the hands of, the more awareness that it's going to build on how powerful the industry is. Is there also kind of an attraction play? I mean, are we trying to become a bigger insurance state from an employer standpoint?
Yeah, we would love to. The more insurance companies here we have, the more talent we can draw.
Right.
And as we're all trying to bring more people to Michigan, I think the insurance industry could be a great place, a great niche to look at as far as an industry. But yeah, we would like to grow the industry here in Michigan, and that was one of our core reasons. I travel the country to national insurance conferences, and the report goes with us either in electronic or in physical form. So that people can see why we're important, and why it's attractive to other companies is when they see that companies are here and we're an insurance hub. Now it's easy. They're going to go, okay, now we've got universities and colleges investing in this area. We also have other people that other companies, they steal from each other a little bit, but they'll be known as a place to come. So Lansing certainly is a hub for within our state, but it is statewide. I mean, we have it in Detroit, and one of the things that the study does is it highlights where insurance is, whether through those agency jobs or with producers all across the state.
Right. I think that's fantastic to use this study to try to bring people here. What's the value proposition for maybe some standalone insurance company that isn't in a hub, right? So, there are these hubs, and I think are we a top 5 hub kind of a?
Probably in the top 5.
Because there are pockets of states that have an insurance kind of cluster, right? But if you're a one-off insurance company that happens to be in Iowa, what would be the value in being in a state that has a lot of other insurance companies as opposed to kind of being on your own?
You probably chose the state that's the most difficult for us to compete with. Iowa's probably number one.
New Mexico.
Could you pick like Alaska or something? Yeah.
You're right. I guess I missed.
But that's okay. I think, we have an environment that it is good for insurance companies to be in. They're going to look at what it's like to do, like any company would. They're going to look at, is this state favorable to doing business here?
Okay.
And I would say, we have a strong relationship with the insurance department. And they're our regulators, so we need to, they're the ones making sure we follow the rules and protect consumers. But also, I think that, we have a strong relationship also with the legislatures and the people in the insurance committee, and helping them understand our industry because it is very complex. So
right.
I would say the relationships that we have are really important. But overall, as a state, we're a good place for insurance companies to locate and to domicile.
And you mentioned a little earlier about the $60 million in charitable giving that you give, but can you give any other just general statistics? I don't think I'll hold you completely accountable to this, but like how many people are employed by the insurance industry in the state, or do you know what the average kind of wages are, or?
So in our 2017 study, we had 80,000 people are employed in insurance in the state. And the other thing that's a really big component is we pay a lot of taxes, and so we contribute a lot to the state. We have $1.4 billion in taxes were paid in 2017.
Wow!
So we are a really important part of not just what everybody sees, but we also fill the coffers that provide the services that the state provides. I think also in the 2017 study, we had 383 companies, life insurance companies in particular, and now when I pulled it up a few minutes ago, it was showing 448. So people are, choosing to sell, and so those are the number of companies that sell products in our state. So those are the number of
400?
regulated. Yeah.
Wow.
So that sell regulated, they're regulated by the state, and that shows up on the DIF's website. So I do think it's an industry that's growing. I'm anxious to do this study looking at the 2022 data and to see where we've come since 2017 in 5 years. Because I do think we're growing, and I do think that we survived, persevered through COVID very well. And we're just like I said, I can't say it enough that we're a really great industry to go into. So right now I have a college college freshman coming in, and I talk to a lot of parents, and they'll say, our kids don't know what they want to go into. And I said, I know this is going to sound crazy, but think about the insurance industry. It's a really stable, it has high paying jobs. And I don't know what the average is right now for pay, but it certainly falls into, there's always opportunities for growth as well.
Right.
So some things that even there's some programs. Insure My Future looks at high school students and engaging them into a path of insurance.
Okay.
There's also programs at the high school, and a lot of our companies do outreach. So Farm Bureau is real involved in some high school programs. I know the Auto Owners does some internships, and the Jackson Zone that is right next to MSU is there for a reason, to bring students in at an entry level and get them engaged in the insurance and financial services industry.
Got it. All right. So it's already a robust industry here, providing all kinds of jobs and income to the state. There's a path to grow. What other kind of headwinds or issues, like what is the insurance industry kind of facing right now? What's the news, and what are you excited about? What worries you a little bit? So
one of the things that I've been watching for a while, I've been involved in the insurance industry for 10 years, and this word insurtech and fintech keeps popping its head up, and I've been curious about it. And so one of the ideas is, how do you innovate in insurance? And we've seen a few attempts to do it here in Michigan. I've gone to conferences where they do it nationally. One of my favorites is InsurTech on the Prairie, which is in Nebraska. And you think of, really, Nebraska is doing something crazy and out of the box in insurance, and they are, and they're showcasing it. And so I think that's something that we can bring to Michigan. I've been working with people at DIFS to kind of monitor what's happening around the country in InsurTech, and we think here where some places they have a regulatory sandbox, which is like a safe space to innovate, we think here in Michigan we probably can do it under our current statutes. And so if people have good ideas, they can bring those to DIFS and they can talk about that process. But more importantly, I think that there's an opportunity that's come about with Spartan Innovations, which is the business incubator of MSU Foundation.
Okay.
That's partnered with the university and MSU FCU and now the insurance industry to really look at how can we be innovative within the industry. And so I don't know, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what that looks like. So we're looking, I think we're, in a lot of ways, insurance is really conservative, right? So we don't step out of the way we've always been doing it very often. However,
right.
At least from a consumer, I'm sure they're doing things internally, but from a consumer standpoint, my bill comes pretty much the same way and I pay it and we move on. So, but there are innovations happening, and there's products like John Hancock has a product that gives you incentives for having a healthy lifestyle, right? Because if you've got a life policy, then we want you to live a long time. So things like that we're looking to see what can we do to innovate in an industry, because I think that's how any manufacturing, because we're manufacturing insurance, but any manufacturing company moves to the next level. Right
on. I'm going to pause for a second to thank the folks at TA Forsberg. When it comes to creating commercial and residential spaces, there's no one I trust more than my friends at the Forsberg Real Estate Company. Brent Forsberg and his team take a holistic approach to create an environment that suits your needs while creating a foundation for a prosperous community. Since the 1950s, Forsberg has been a name to trust if you're looking to partner on a project, occupy a great space to live or work, or to simply follow one of the great thought leaders in our state. Reach out to my friends at Forsberg Real Estate Company by calling 517-349-9330 or check out their website at lansingrealestate.com. You will not regret it. So you talk about innovation and there's so much going on, and I hear insurance coming up in conversations that I have when I'm talking to companies that are starting up. They're talking about, I was blown away a long time ago when they talked about how this insurance company insures this star pitcher's arm, or and then I heard the other day talking about these electric vehicle battery plants that are being built, and there's all these things that need to be considered as they're building these factories, and what does the future of mobility look like? And someone just apropos of nothing just kind of said, by the time we get ready to build these batteries and get them distributed, we hope that someone from the insurance industry figures out how, like right now, you can't get insurance for the transportation of batteries, like on trains, right? They're like, we've got people working on this, but it's like, we're going to produce a bunch of these batteries and they're pretty heavy and they go in these big boxes and then they go in the box cars on the trains that are going to ship them all over the country. But right now we're being told that there's really no policy that you can buy to help with that. So we've got people kind of figuring out how they're going to price that and model that and how we have to bake that into our expenses. So, and then I heard someone mention that they're like, there's a way to like almost insure your kid's college education, or like there's so many creative things, and AI is going to do things. So I guess it's important to kind of keep thinking about the metaphor of kind of skate to where the puck is going, not to where the puck is. And you talk about insurance maybe not being considered an innovative industry, but it sounds like innovation. Cybersecurity, right? With cybersecurity wasn't a thing 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Now it's a matter of if not when.
Yes.
So there's all kinds of new policies that need to be written. So it's a fascinating industry if you really sit and take a few minutes to think it through.
Yeah, and I think it's even more difficult to innovate in the life and annuity area, but there is a lot more room to be innovative in the property and casualty area, and probably even in health. There's probably other industries, and of course that's not my forte, but however, when we go to some of these conferences, when we talk about InsurTech, that's where we see some of these products coming out, is in the areas that would be considered under property and casualty.
Right.
The education one was one that I saw that basically they insure, they had some small, basically the policy is purchased by a university and or a college. They were small colleges, and it was an InsurTech product that basically they said, we will ensure that your student, your child, will get a job making, X amount of dollars upon graduating. And that was something that they offered, these small colleges had offered. So it's just really thinking really out of the box, and some amazing actuarial scientist came up with an algorithm that said, yes, we can guarantee this. So
that's amazing.
The minds behind the products, I think, are as phenomenal as the innovation itself. So
I just thought of another one. So I remember the day I learned that the hole-in-one car is an insurance policy, basically. I mean, if you're a golfer or even marginally aware of golf, there are tournaments and stuff, and there's a car there, and if you hit a hole-in-one, you get the car. And I'm like, wow, that must be really expensive. They must really hope that doesn't happen. It's like, no, they pay X hundreds of dollars for, they have how many people, the dimensions of the hole, like some actuarial person puts together the statistic, puts a price on it and says, if Chris Buck happens to hit a hole in one, he wins that Ford Mustang, and, we'll offset that cost because the premium outweighs the risk. I mean,
That's
so
right.
Insurance, there is a lot of cool stuff going on.
There is a lot of cool stuff, right down to the golf course. Anything you can bring back to the golf course is a good one.
Right, exactly. So when do you think the study is going to be done? Because now I'm intrigued by the data, right? And then helping to shove this along and see if we can attract more people to the industry.
Yeah, so typically it will come out closer to the beginning of the year. So probably it's usually about a 1-year lag time, because a lot of the data isn't available until late like for 2022 isn't going to be available until late into 2023. Okay. And we're just starting to, we've talked to a few of our partners, and we're just starting to engage them and talk about what we need to do to make it happen. But yes, we're optimistic that we'll have it, first of the year. So.
Fantastic. Okay. And so is there anything else about Liam that you that I didn't give you a question to answer?
Yeah. Wow. No, I think next steps, we really are focused on engaging with our regulator and with our legislators. One of the things that's unique about the life insurance industry in general, because it is state regulated, there are different laws in every state. And so we rely a lot on model laws to make it so it's easy for our companies to do business in many states and not have to file several different types of reports. And that's one of the things that happens under state regulation, and the network that our regulators do through NEIC, which is the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, that they do. And the same on the legislator side, there is also the National Council of Insurance Legislators. And so we do a lot of work with them to help make it be easy to do business across the entire country and still be state regulated. Along that same lines, I think, like I briefly mentioned before, I think the next focus area for us is kind of what can we do to support financial literacy in our state. And so we're just getting into that and figuring out what our companies are already doing and then what we could do as an association.
Fantastic. All right. And how can people get in touch with Liam?
So you can go to our website. It is www.LIA for Life Insurance Association, and then Michigan.org. And you can find us there.
Fantastic. Well, we've been speaking with the Executive Director of LIAM, the Life Insurance Association of Michigan, Traci Riehl. I appreciate you shedding some light on this important industry. I think we need to make sure we fan the flames of the industries that make Michigan special, and I look forward to continued growth.
Thank you.